Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. It gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. Creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. They'll even distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Welcome back. This is not the Cotter Show, but this is It Is What It Is podcast. I am your host, Cody Kelly. Look, connect with me on IG at CVMK33. I have an exciting episode for you today. Church myths, lies, and phobias. I have asked these four gentlemen to be on because these are leaders in the body of faith, but they are real individuals, real ones. I have with me none other than the Reverend Jameer Atkins, Pastor Damon Williams, the elder of Prayer Tower / Assistant Pastor Jamon Doris, and my brother, community activist. And even though this brother, trust me, be preaching, I love him to death. Tim Kincaid, how are you guys doing?
Doing well. All is well, family.
Awesome. Look, we got an exciting one. I'm gonna hit it off with some questions, but look, next few episodes are gonna be lit. I'm telling you, we got colorism, we got Black beauty. I have what are we dealing with? The legalization of marijuana politics today. It's gonna just be amazing. That's coming down the pipeline. But I want to get it started with the first question. I'm pitching it to you, Damon, because it looked like you've been working out. You look like you're ready for this.
Just got back.
I saw the video today. I want to pitch the first question to you on church myths, lies, and phobia. This idea of once you give your life to Christ, once you get saved, there are no more problems. What is wrong with this idea? Once you're here in the church, come down to the altar, give your life, everything will be all right.
Well, I think what people sometimes forget to understand, that when they get saved, they're looking for this feeling. You know, they want this feeling, this euphoria. And I know when the first time I really felt the power of God, I felt a feeling that I had never felt before. But I think people get hooked to that feeling because salvation is really a lifestyle. And like any other lifestyle, it has challenges. The devil is still trying to tempt you. The devil is still trying to pull you away. He does not want you to live a holy life. So there are still challenges. I think people think that problems go away because you get saved. Problems don't go away just once you get filled with the Holy Ghost. You just have power over problems. And I think people have to understand that sometimes after you get saved, especially in the beginning, you're probably going to have more problems. That's when you're most vulnerable. That's when the devil really wants to pull you away. So I think that the myth that problems get better. I've been married 17 years. My wife is saved. I'm saved. We still have married problems. We still have kid problems.
I know we
still have bill problems. Bill problems don't go away because you got saved. Money's tight, whether you're saved or not. For us, maybe you are, balling. I don't know, but I think. But we don't let those problems overcome us because we have salvation. We don't let those problems manifest into something that they don't need to be. I'm not out looking for other solutions outside of my home because I do believe that I should walk with Christ and follow his teaching.
Awesome. Reverend Jameer, once you get saved, there's no more problems. Damon hit it on. Look, we still have problems, and a lot of times when you get saved, you are initially more vulnerable. Therefore, the increase in problems might happen. What are your thoughts?
I agree with that 110%. That it's definitely not to sound churchy, but it's when you're going to feel it most is during those times, especially when you're just doing that transition, because it's truly the crucifying of your flesh. Apostle Paul said it best. He said, "Even when I try to do good, evil is present," meaning that I have to suffer through this thing that we call salvation. And now, but the benefit of it is that I don't go through this thing alone. I begin to develop my character and develop my faith through the situations that I'm facing. Not that they go away, not that they disappear, but now by the grace of God, I like those twins, grace and mercy. They are carrying me through those challenging conversations, those challenging times, those challenging COVID-19 experiences, those financial crises. I just understand now that I have a better foundation, not in what I attain through my own mind, but through the grace and the mercy of God and the witness of and testimony of others that have went through it. And it's the journey that builds me and develops me along the way.
Awesome. Tim, I want to pitch this to you and then name it. I'm going to hit you with a curveball because that's what we do here on It Is What It Is. Once you get saved, you grew up, you're in the church, you're a member of Progressive. Once you get saved, there's no more problems. What are your thoughts on that?
Psych. Whoever thinks that, man, wow. You know, I feel like more, it's like more money, more problems, more Jesus, more problems. You know, when you're a follower of Christ, you are succumb, like you literally have trials and tribulation that's set up for you as a child of God. Your tests and your trials, like you have to go through something to be an overcomer and to be able to share and have a testimony while you're saved. We all got testimonies of how we came out of darkness and into the light. But those of us that can attest to that and say, yo, I used to live this way. God brought me out of it. Now I'm living this way. I'm married now. Oh, now the devil trying to take my marriage. I got children now. Oh, now the devil trying to come between the children and the parents. Oh, I'm older now and I'm trying to seek wisdom from the elderly. Oh, now the devil is coming between the older generation who are more wise than us and coming between them and us where we can't receive knowledge from them. We have to, you know, literally break through all of these different, it's so many barriers that we have to break through as children of God. And it's easy to get discouraged. Like it's easy to just say, I quit and just fall back into the world and live like the world live and do what the world do. So when you become a child of God, it'll be the most challenging time that you'll probably ever have in your life.
Awesome. Name it. I want to take it up a notch because everybody has hit on it. We're married. This understanding that, oh my God, once you say, I do, once you ask her hand in marriage, you'll never be tempted again. You will never see something that you don't like. There will never be a woman who will not catch your eye. I'm going to speak candidly. I love April to death. I love April. April is I'm not leaving. You can pay me. I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. But don't get it twisted. I'm still all man, all human. I'm still not what I'm saying, like, oh man, but you know what I'm saying? I'm still in this thing, man. I still see what I see. I still like Meg the Stallion. And if I'm not careful, I might spend too much time on Instagram. Tell me about that. Tim, tell me about being married, man. That lie that is told that once you say I do, all of a sudden the urge to want to do other things disappears.
Well, whoever said that, they tripping. Okay? All right, let me say that first of all, they tripping. But let me throw you a curveball back too. Like, I want you to understand, everybody needs to understand this. We ain't the only one, men ain't the only one who sees attractive people.
Hello.
Our wives see attractive people too.
Amen.
You better not.
Come on now.
Amen.
They just know how to do it and say he's sensitive and things of that nature. You know, we say, oh my God. So yeah, it's definitely a myth in the church. What I love about me and my wife, my wife loves Will Smith. And he might need her right now, huh?
Right. We can have
right.
Hey.
We
down for entanglements.
Hey.
Right. So I'm not tripping because I prefer for us to be able to talk about other people that are attractive instead of us just going to our grave and acting like we ain't never seen nothing that walk past us in the mall, at church, or anywhere else. So yeah, I mean that's definitely a myth, but we don't talk about it because we're holy, right?
Why don't we talk about it? And Damon, I throw it to you. I'm human, just because I might like her the way she's developed, I have no interest, right? I always say it like this. I love looking at Lamborghinis. I am content with my Mazda CX-5. First of all, I can afford the note and I can afford the maintenance, and I have no place. I would not even trust a Lamborghini in Chicago. That thing would get snatched. So why can't I be who I am? Why do I have to pretend like I don't have these feelings?
Well, I don't think it's so much that you have to pretend you don't have these feelings. I once heard a pastor say that it is natural for men to stray and men to cheat. And I was kind of offended by that when I first heard that, because I've never had the desire to step out on my wife. But he said once you get saved, the Lord gives you supernatural ability to stay with that one woman. So I had to get out of myself and say, maybe the reason I am is the way I am, not because of anything that I'm doing, it's because of what God is doing. But I think women know just instinctively that men tend to look, and unfortunately, we have a history where men just tend to stray. I mean, we got to be honest with it. Men tend to stray. Now, I think for us, most of the time, it's not emotional. We just see something we like, and we just want to get with it, do whatever we want to do with it, and throw it away, because that's just how we are. Where women, when they give their bodies to a man, most of the time, it's because of a deep emotional connection. And I think they don't understand that we don't always need that, because it's just in our nature to do what we do, whether we want to admit it or not. We all saved, sanctified, Holy Ghost, but it's in a man's nature to do what he want to do, and it's only by his grace and mercy that we don't succumb to those feelings. But I just think it's hard for women to understand that, because for them, I know, like for my wife, I know for her to really to become intimate with me, she had to have an emotional connection with me. I just saw her walking down the aisle and thought she was fine,
Right.
And I got an emotional connection with her later. I mean, I would, if she'd have let me go, I would have went. I'm just gonna be honest. Can we keep 100 here? I'd have went that night. I didn't have to. All I knew was her last name. You know what I'm saying? She's not like that. Most women are just not like that. And
Right.
I think it's hard for them to understand that we can have. That's what you have guys with. They have 4 or 5 side chicks and say, well, but I love this one. He's not lying, because we don't need that emotional connection to make that physical connection.
Right. No, well said. I don't personally, when I saw my wife, it had nothing to do with her worship. I didn't even know she was saved. I saw her walk to her room. I met her at her house at a party, and I saw her walk, and I saw what I liked when she was walking. I was like, I'm going, I'm saying? But look, that's honest to God. Like, men don't need that emotional connection. For us, it's gonna be physical first. Look, if I was single on leg day on Mondays, I would live at the gym. I'd be like, I'm not leaving this thing. Tim, first year of marriage you just completed. Talk to me about that transition. What has been a real opportunity? I won't even say struggle, but an opportunity for you as having your human nature and trying to mesh it with the spiritual calling that's on your life.
Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. So biggest challenge for me is, like, honestly, I'm scared of God. Like, I'm scared of the wrath of God. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all, because like so many times where I messed up in the past, like, okay, my freshman year of college, I had straight A's. I was on the board, right? I was good. Second year, I met the girl. We moved in together. My junior year, I played house. I was shacking. We got engaged. I thought I was living a dream. Next thing you know, I was flunking out of school. Right? So then God, he turned it around for me. I moved to Atlanta. My first year there, I was on top of it. Got promoted, was doing my thing at LA Fitness, met a little sweet girl from Atlanta, did the same thing, moved in with her, shacked up. He kept giving me these gifts, and I kept abusing them, fornicating, doing all of that, cheating, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Came to Chicago to do my thing, finish my education and stuff like that. I ended up finding another young lady. Did the same thing, right? Moved her in the crib with where I was at, right? Trying to be the hero, trying to save the day. End up, having sex outside of marriage, just doing all the things that I know I'm not supposed to be doing, and God took that away from me. Every female that I ever dated was wife material, right? I wasn't out, on the block grabbing chicks left and right. It was somebody that I saw that could have potentially be my wife. That she was a gift. I abused the gift. God took it away from me. So when I gave my life to Christ, I was like, look, God, I fully trust you. Like, I love you, God. I've been out here tripping. I put my hands up. I went to church. I went to Progressive. I laid at the altar. I cried out every week, man, for like 4 weeks. I finally joined the church. And my wife's auntie, who went to the church, saw my praise and walked up to me and was like, you know what, young man, I really love your praise. I want to introduce you to my niece.
And so I'm like, okay, what she look like? You know how we are. Gave her my business card. Got a phone call a week later. We hit it off, and so it was one of the most beautiful things. And I knew that it was because I fully submitted myself to God that He gave me this final gift and was like, look, son, it's up to you because you got free will. Either you can screw it up or not. And I told my wife, like in the beginning, we were physical, and I was like, look, we got to stop this because if I continue doing this, I'm gonna lose you, just like I lost everybody else. And I'm afraid to lose you. I'm afraid to miss this gift. And so for 2.5 years, we took a vow of celibacy, and we got married. Like, I mean, it's one of those things. Like, I'm scared of what God will do to me for this. So I am afraid of the wrath of God when it comes to certain things, like when it comes to breaking certain commandments, like when it comes to that part of it, I'm like, look, you look good, shorty, but I'm straight. I'm gone. I'm over here. Like I look like that. I try not to look too long. I try not to scroll too much. I try my best to just we got the nature, like, and then the enemy he busy and he know what kind of dude I am. So it's like, well, when you think about your father and you think about, man, my daddy will beat my daddy will chastise the heck out of me, Lord. And would rather you convict me right now than me do something, and then you have to put me in a place where I may not be able to get out of. And so that's what's keeping me, at bay when it comes to that situation.
Makes sense. Look, it's hard not to double tap certain photos, but there's a consequence to that. Jameer, this is perfect for you. You are in a unique. You're the only one on here not married, but I think that is your unique position right now. You are a leader in the body of faith. You are in ministry. That's got to be aggravating, right? When I was dating, I wasn't an elder. I could, if I were to fall, let me say this. If I were to fall, I didn't have much, I didn't have far to go. Nobody would hear the pin drop. You know what I'm saying? So, so there was a certain comfort in knowing like, oh, I'm good, so, but for you are a little bit more elevated. If you mess up, your stuff might be screenshotted, right? So talk to me about that struggle.
Well, just being honest, and I think that women, especially with those who are in leadership in churches, women attract to power and leadership, right? So the mantle is just as heavy upon us. Not only can someone say, well, oh, no, they look good, they're easy on the eyes, but they also attract to that other thing, so it's presented way more often. In fact, a couple weeks ago, I got a text like, hey, send me some pics. I'm like, no, you're not going to get me, because what happens is that you're tempted. I mean, women are attracted to the leadership when you go out, and I agree with Tim with that. It's like the burden of it is so much heavy. So for me, and let's be quite honest, I'm not going to bring up the Kojic and the Baptist confrontation about some of what they used to say about Kojic people, but Kojic people do something else. I said they say Baptist preachers smoke cigarettes right after they get done preaching. But what I will say is that when you walk in the calling that God has on your life, it's very hard sometimes to walk among other brothers in the faith too, because some people are not living holy. Some people are not living, they like, man, I see it, I act on it. So when you come and say, you know what, I've consecrated myself until God sends me, might help me, sometimes you're ostracized, because some brothers are like, look, I'm enjoying it. I saw it, oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. And they really are living out that commandment. And so you're ostracized inside the church. So for me, it's just truly, my spiritual mother used to always tell me, she said, ministry is a very lonely place, Jameer. And I never understood the magnitude. You can preach, people can get saved, people can get delivered, but at the end of the day, you go back home and you're by yourself. And so you have to, and my mother passed when I was in 2007. And one thing I used to pray for my mother, and God showed it very clearly to me, is that, Lord, you keep my mind. Because it is, I mean, when you're doing ministry and you see God opening up doors and you see people are calling for you to help in different areas. One part, you could take it to your head, but then you always think about what will it be if I had to help me to carry this burden and this cross with me. And it becomes one of those things where you just have to truly not be of lip service, but be of action and truly hide his word in your heart that you may not sin against it, because your flesh is easy to fall. And I'm telling you, I'm not blind. I totally agree. I have to keep scrolling on Instagram. I have to keep, sometimes I put that phone away because temptation is real. But I love Christ more, and I love God more, and I love the work that I do to help. And so I believe that in God's due time, He's gonna send me that bride, and she's already out there. I'm being perfected on this journey. She's being perfected. But I told the Lord I'll be 32 on Thursday. God, my time. A man shall not be alone. That's what the scripture says. But in God's due time, I keep hope alive, in the words of Jackie Jackson. Keep hope alive.
All right, ladies, you heard him. He is single and ready to mingle. Slide into the DM right now. When I put the link, you'll have his number up, so you'll be able to contact him here and be like, "Hey, look, I heard. I'm ready too." Like, I want to tackle this question. I'm gonna throw this a name, and then I'm gonna take it up another level. How do you walk in holiness as a single man alone until you find what you need? I'm gonna say this: that process is a very burdensome process. It's a lot of lonely nights and many tears. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's hard not to have sex. It's hard not to do it, right? Like, it's just hard. And then when you get saved, and especially if like if you was sucky, you might not be wanting to play, but if who you can smash, what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to delete certain numbers. It's hard to delete certain memories, Stronghold. It is hard. It begins with commitment. It's a lot of sleepless nights. There's a lot of video games they got for Xbox. It's a lot of calling demand, seeing if I need to, go to Walgreens and get certain stuff. But it's wild. I'm going to throw this to you, name it. You are a pastor. If one of your young people came up to you, and then I'm going to take it up a notch, in 1 minute, explain how would you walk in holiness as a single man?
Oh, wow. I get this question asked a lot with my youth department. I would literally say, seriously, and not being cliche, it's just 1 second at a time. You really can't get ahead of yourself thinking that, because temptation for all of us, like for me, deliverance for some men is not being around it. So some of us can't handle being in the room with it. So our deliverance is predicated of not us being in the room or associated with it. Other people can be right by it and it won't affect them. So it's a different mentality for each man for what we've been through, more or less, say, in our lives. The one thing I would say is try to find someone who's like-minded as you, is because many times your friends and your circle will have an influence on you to do something that you were in between doing. Like many things that I've done, I think that I was not under the influence of alcohol, but I might have been under the influence of my circle. So I would say to make sure that circle that you have is like-minded as you, and you can kind of go on this journey together, because it is a lonely journey, but you're never alone. The Bible says He will never leave us nor forsake us, but we do get lonely. So that would be my advice.
Awesome. Let's turn it up a notch. I'm gonna hit on something. I get it. The church needs finances. It needs money to run. The lights need to be paid. It has people on salary. Ministry is not cheap. My pet peeve: I do not believe in the $100 miracle line. I have been at many services where you have to stand in line and donate this seed offering, and somehow the seed offering is actually going to activate my blessing. A couple problems with that. First of all, it isolates people who are economically struggling, because if they can't afford it, how would they have access to it? It seems like God is now allocating in economic oppression. The second problem is with that, if I could have paid for it a long time ago, I would have just gave $100. You know, and so I want to talk to you. You invite a prophet up. You invite a pastor to speak at your church. Pastor Dave, I'll start with you. Then Damana, Hit, Tim, Jameer. The miracle line, the $100 miracle line. What are your thoughts?
Well, I've only experienced it once being the senior pastor. Okay. And I did get up and apologize after the person was done. I did, because I had no clue that was going to happen. It was just early in my pastoralship. Cody, I definitely agree with you. But the one thing that we do have to be careful in is the process of the seed and harvest. I do believe in that. The problem is that we manipulate the process so man gets the glory out of what you are going to receive. Whatever the transformation is of the seed, truthfully, none of us have anything to do with it. We really, really don't. So in that, I am completely with you. And being a Kojic pastor, I think we probably use that more than other reformations, because I'm a musician by trade. I play for every reformation that it is, but ours have a tendency to do more than one offering, or if we don't do more than one offering, we're going to hit them hard in the beginning. So I definitely agree with you. I do believe in the seed and harvest principle, though.
Awesome. Damon, I come to your church. Your dad invites me to speak. Not me personally, but invites the preacher to speak, and stands up at Prayer Tower at you guys' new beautiful edifice and says, if you want a miracle by Tuesday, you're going to sow $500. If you want it by Wednesday, you're going to serve $200. And if you want it by Thursday, you're going to stand in the $50 line, and everybody else can just get $5. What goes through your head when you see stuff like that?
Well, something that you touched on earlier, and I agree with what Pastor Damon said. I was fortunate enough to be blessed to be born to a hardworking two-parent household. I remember when my parents didn't have a whole lot of money. They got married very young. They were 20 and 19 when they got married. I was born a year later. So I had very young parents. I remember when we struggled. I remember when we couldn't pay bills. I remember when things were just hard and tough, but we always went to church. I can't imagine how my 20, 22, 23-year-old mother and father would have felt had someone told them that they need to give them a $75, $50, $100 seed offering to be blessed. When I saw how hard my parents were working, I saw how hard they were struggling in the beginning, and I know they would not have been able to afford that in my young childhood. Fortunately, my father was blessed to move up in his company. My mother started working, and my family became. We were able to move up into the higher into the middle class as I got older. So now, when those type of situations happen, we can be a blessing. But I often wonder, like this, I know there's still families out there who are still struggling, like my family was struggling 30, 40 years ago. So does that leave out those families? Because I remember being one of those families. So I've never liked it. And I do understand that the bills need to be paid. I do understand that being part of a ministry is expensive. I'm the executive pastor of my church. I handle all the bills. I pay the mortgage. I take care of all the business of my church, special events. I take care of our administrative department. So I understand that the church needs money. But I just don't ever think that finance should be more important than lowering or hurting the esteem of some of its own members. Because people, what about you have a member that's born to a single mother or a single father who may not have the access to move up in class as quickly as a married household. They may not have the support. I have a big family. My parents have always had a lot of support. And because of that, now I have a lot of support. They were to send me to college, not just because of things that they did, because of things that my grandparents did. And they were fortunate to have strong parents. So I don't like to make families that may not have been born with that support, that may not have been blessed with that type of support, to feel isolated and feel like they can't left out, they can't fully participate in the ministry just because they don't have financing. So I've never liked that.
Awesome. Tim, like as you shared your testimony, your story, your journey, you and your wife, Nicole, go to a church service, and Prophet Aquafina comes and decides, hey, look, I'm raising anybody that wants a miracle. I'm starting the miracle line off at $1,000.
Wow.
What are your initial thoughts when you hear things like that?
Well, growing up in the Kojic church, like you see it, especially when those prophets come to the church, guest speakers and stuff like that. So I've seen it, heard it. I get uncomfortable. It's like I compare that to bringing J.B. Prisoner to speak to the congregation for the black vote, right? It make me uncomfortable like that sometimes, right? And so I have to get out of my emotions and get out of my feelings, and then ask God to like really give me a meaning and an understanding of this. Like, God, if I do sow this seed, like I'm looking for you to bless me out of obedience, because I need to, like, that discernment has to come out, right? You got to see God in it. So I'm not going to be the guy to drop the 1,000. I might be the guy to drop the 50 out of obedience. And then I'm praying while I'm going up there and say, Lord, I'm doing this out of obedience, God, because of how good you've been to me. And I know this money is going to ministry. I'm not expecting a miracle that a man is promising me. I'm just doing this out of obedience because of how good you are. You've been to me. And if you have something more in store for me because from this seed that I'm sowing, Lord, I will willingly accept it, right? But the 1,000 and all that, like, nah, I'm not with that.
Makes sense. Jameer, Reverend Jameer, if you're up there and because I know how it goes, I've been in that setting. The pastor that invites you to speak tells you that they're low on money. Are you tempted to raise a prophetic offering?
Wow.
Okay, well, you switched
That's
it
a good
on me,
question.
but I'm ready.
Good question.
So,
different, Cody.
Yeah.
he switched it on me. Yeah, right. You hit me with the uppercut. Whoop, I'm back going. So let me say this. Pastor Naaman spoke very well. The seed, right? So I am a firm believer that I cannot buy my blessings from God. I insult God if I think I can buy my blessings. So I don't agree with the thought process and the theology of it. Now, to Tim's point, I respect that because at the end of the day, I've been in the seat and God has told me to give, but it's not my responsibility. So if he comes up and say, to answer your question directly, if he comes up and say, hey, well, I need you to raise an offering. Now, God moves on the heart of the people. And my prayer is that if I am declaring the gospel, that people's heart is moved, and I won't have to do that because I believe in the power of God that much. But if you think I'm going to do an extended call afterwards, I can't do it because I don't believe in it. As me being in sales, I can't work nowhere. I can't sell something I don't believe in. And so if you ask me to do that, you're asking me counter or go against what my belief is and where I walk with God. But I do believe in the power of sowing the seed. For the scripture tells you some come to plant, some come to water, but the Lord brings the harvest. So I will encourage you to sow a seed. Now, I'm not going to put an amount on it. And if we believe God enough faith, that need that you need to be met, as Pastor Doris said, as the executive pastor, that need may be the mortgage needs to be paid. God will provide it if we're in alignment and a will with his word. But a lot of times, I was at, before we started my church plant, the church plant I'm a part of 4.5 years ago, I was at a very affluent church in the south suburbs, a Baptist church, where I served in many capacities in ministry. And every year we would bring this one prophetess. Now she would, at one point in her ministry, she was very, very accurate. I mean, she was an accurate prophet. She would come with the word, prophesy to me some things that were very on point, on target. But the thing that turned her away is she would do, I need 10 people to give us out. Her thing was the year. It was always, so if it was 2019, I need 10 people to give $2,019. I need, if you can't, but what she would always do is if you can't give that, well, if you can't, I need you to give $20.19. You know, she would try, but it would turn people off because if you don't have it, it's almost you teach the theology or you teach the mindset that I can buy my gifts from God. Mm-hmm. I can make this work for me. God is foolish enough. And he said he was withholding nothing good from us. So it goes against the preaching and the teaching of the text when we start to do that and try to barter with God. We can't buy God. God woke you up this morning. He didn't give you a bill when you got out the bed. He let you get up in the activity of your limbs. When hardship happened, I preached this past week about King Jehoshaphat. And the thing about King Jehoshaphat, when hardship came, he didn't go. I said this Sunday, he went back to the essentials. He went back to fasting, praying the Lord's word, and then the Levite, Jehaziel, that was present, is the one who actually began to worship. And when King Jehoshaphat saw him worshiping, he bowed down and worship as well. And so I think that's how we incline, because he is pleased with our worship, not with our dollar. Dollar is man. Money and currency comes from man. God is the giver of all things, and he doesn't withhold anything good from us if we trust him with our resource, our time, our talent, and our treasure. And that goes into another conversation about bringing the tithe, or do we believe in just giving? But I'll leave that for another day.
Awesome. Look, I know you guys have been on here and you guys agreed to 30 minutes. I'm going to respect your times. I know I've been over, but I want to hit one more last question. And I've been juggling the question. Should it be performance versus worship, or should it be the question of sex? And when I keep looking at my viewers, it seems like every time we start talking about sex, we get more viewers. So guess what? We're going to talk about sex. So, best name wins. I'm going to start with you. Jameer, I'm going to try to leave you out because, I don't want anybody to say, Reverend having sex, So, as a David, I'm going to start with you. I grew up in this grand old church. I remember back in purity class, I had a certain teacher who should not be named told us, and this is absolutely wrong, that they were forbidden positions. Told us that I'm about to get in trouble. Told us that hitting it from the back is wrong. I'm gonna start with you, Naaman. On It Is What It Is. Is there forbidden positions between a husband and a wife? You
seriously want to start with me?
Like he owns something tonight, Pastor. He owns something, man.
You seriously want to start with me? He's baiting me too. Okay, Cody, whoever taught you that, and we don't have no names, whoever taught you that it's probably something that they couldn't do.
Gotcha.
One thing that I have learned about and I'm not going to call it the grand. I'm talking about we that minister. We speak against many things that we can't do. So we speak against it no matter what it is. So my nature is transparency. So I have found that out. Of course, we know what the bed is undefiled, and it when the bed is undefiled, it does not naturally mean positions and freakiness. It actually means the mindset of you and your mate is whatever. So in that is a different dynamic. 30 years ago, they weren't going to have you in purity class, Cody, and telling you, hey, it's whatever. They not finna go there, but the day is different. My young people ask me about sex. My young people it's just a different day where they'll be like, Pastor, this is the deal. This is the whatever. And so it allows me to give counsel from a level of openness. It's because, truth be told, a lot of us, even at that age, we were doing the same thing. We just didn't put it on social media. Right. I'm preaching to somebody, but I'm going to leave that alone. But that's my answer.
The devil of social media.
Demond.
Well,
the bed is undefiled. Somebody said, I know some of the elders that came out of your church, some old school singers. And they said, no, Reverend, you can't hit it from the back. You only do a missionary and you can't take blue chews. What is your response?
Well, I got to say, I'm going to respectfully disagree. I was related to some elders very closely who thought that. Not my father. But the Bible
handle it, preacher. I like how you handled
it. Yeah. The Bible says marriage is honorable in all.
Right.
And the bed is undefiled. So I think you want to make sure that we knew. To me, if it is cool with your spouse, if it's something that you both consent to, if you both feel comfortable, if you talk about it, if you communicate, then to me, in the confines of a marriage, I mean, it's up to you two what's off limits. I guess what I get concerned is when a grown man or a grown woman asks me, and I've been asked this, is it okay to do this with my wife? Is it okay to do it with my husband? And I look at him like, I'm not married to your wife. You ask her if it's okay, because that's between you all. I don't want to know. I don't care. If you do it in your marriage, I don't believe it's sinful. That's between you all. You know, so sometimes I think people are looking for an excuse not to do something they don't want to do anyway, and they want to use the church or the word or to say, well, we shouldn't do that. No, you just need to have better communication, because obviously it's something that you don't want to do or she don't want to do in the first place, and they're using the church as an excuse.
Ooh, that was heat. Tim, somebody tries to counsel you and your wife and says, Tim, I don't even want you holding hands. You can't be doing that. Is it only missionary for you? What's going on? Bring it out. Bring it out.
Where say that at up in here? Fine. Right. Hey, okay, I hear you. Can you find that? Here you go. You can borrow it right here. Can you find that for me in there? Let me know what it is, or is just something coming out something coming out your heart.
Yes, sir.
Right. I'm challenging you with the word. You want to bring God in it? You got, man, please. You're an expert in it too. Here, find it in here for me, please. Right. Please get me right. Oh, you can't? I ain't trying to hear what you're saying right now.
I feel you.
No, that makes sense. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't listen to him then. Not gonna listen to him now. This is how I roll.
Yeah,
I'm already decided. I'm like, look, Jesus on my heart. I got the Excel spreadsheet when I get to heaven on that day. Like, God, I done this. All these pastoral anniversaries I had to do. You better let me.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
Release is one thing, reproduction is one thing, and pleasure is another. And those are all three things that you can accomplish when you with your significant other and your wife that you took a vow to be with. And you know what I'm saying? What's in your bedroom, stay in your bedroom, and don't need to go outside of your bedroom. And if somebody try to challenge it, tell them to find it in the book, and then we can talk about it. If not, man, I'm only trying to hear what you got to say.
Hello, whips, cameras, everything. We all get down. Blue chews and everything. Blue chews is a real thing. Look,
hey, for real though, I heard a thing, man, about like some pastors like throwing toy parties and stuff. Like, have y'all heard of that?
No.
Somebody brought that up to. We did in my premarital counseling. In the session, they were talking about how some pastors and are like, you know, having toy parties. I don't know where. Maybe it's in Atlanta.
I don't know.
I don't know. But San Francisco, I don't know. But
I think that's more. I'll be honest with you. That's probably more common among women. Women can talk about that stuff. Like, this is my, you know, be like, oh, okay. You know?
Hey Tim, all I can do is speak for me, man. I haven't had a toy party, man.
Right, I don't do toys.
I
only do Xbox. Yeah, Ron and Giselle. That's the only toy I did.
I've never been to one either.
I don't need them. All right, look, this has been an amazing episode. Jameer, where can they connect with you? What are you doing?
You can connect with me on Facebook as Jameer Atkins, or on Instagram. I think it's JC Atkins. No, I think it's my real name now. I think it's JC Atkins or something like that. But if you find me on Facebook, you can find me on Instagram as well.
Awesome, Pastor Damon. What are you doing? I know you got the convocation. I shared the video. Where can they connect with you? What are you doing?
Man, Facebook, IG, NameItWilliams.org. Holla at your boy.
Damon, where can they connect with you? What are you doing?
Facebook, Damon Doris, or you can get me on IG, D_Doris. So, anywhere, anytime.
Awesome. Tim, where can they connect with you? What are you doing?
You can find me on Facebook, Timothy Tremaine.
Awesome. Look, I appreciate it. I appreciate my guests. I love these guys so much. Thank you again for this episode. Like I said, next week, I got the legalization of marijuana, politics today, Social Security. We are also starting a series that's going to be amazing on Black beauty. I'm talking about black hair all the way down to colorism. August about to be lit. Hot Girl Summer episode is next week. Y'all don't want to miss that. I got some baddies that I had to ask that are personal friends of mine to be on there. But until next time, guys, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. Thank you.
All right, brother.